Welcome back, everyone, to Fruit Punch, episode 19. I'm Jack,
I'm cool.
and we're going to talk about some fights as usual. Big
You're
pay per
very
view this
loud.
week. I am.
Yeah,
Is this better?
yeah.
Big pay per view this weekend.
Still very loud.
Okay, well, we should have figured this out beforehand.
Okay, you know what? Go. It's actually good. I was on full volume.
Anyways, welcome back. This is episode 19. Really looking forward to the fights this weekend, Cole. It's going to be big. It's our first pay per view since August 7th. It's been a little while.
It
Two
has.
title fights, but yeah, two title fights and the Nick Diaz return. I mean, come on. It's a Saturday night. You know, there's going to be plans, but it doesn't matter. Any true UFC fan will be busy this Saturday.
Yeah, you're not wrong. We should start by going over last weekend's fights. Only really two of note. It wasn't the best card in the world. I mean, performance-wise, it was, but in terms of names, not so much, and winnings. But Anthony Smith, holy crap, he's just come into his own. I think someone said recently that he's like the Hulk, that he is reserved on the desk. He's a collected, well-spoken dude, and then as soon as he steps in the cage, just rawr.
Yeah, agree. That's a good analogy. The only difference is Hulk wouldn't get 50-43 by John Jones. But anyways, that was mean. No, he looked phenomenal. And Ryan Spann talked a lot of shit. And it shows you like Anthony's a really good guy. Like he's always respectful, and he was really fired up afterwards. And I love DC's take on this. DC has always said, I don't get it. You hate each other, then you punch each other for 25 minutes, and then you're best friends. Like doesn't make any sense. And he praised Anthony Smith for his reaction. Now I don't want to praise disrespect, but I don't blame him. I thought this was an easy win for Smith. I think I predicted it by submission on our last episode. You know, I don't know. Maybe you should listen to me more than Cole. But
Maybe.
yeah, it was a fucking amazing win, and that's three in a row, Cole, all by finish. Oh, yeah, all by finish.
Yeah, he's really coming to his own. As I said,
All
I'm
by
excited to
first
see.
round finish. Well, the Crute thing was stopped in between rounds, but
And the craziest thing is cardio is ridiculous, and so is his like
how do we know his
ability.
cardio is ridiculous?
How do we know his cardio is ridiculous? Because he
Yeah.
went 5 rounds with the greatest fighter ever, and he
Okay.
wasn't like dead tired, and he
You
also
walked
fought.
over to the sheriff fight.
Okay, but he also fought
Exhausted eight
a
minutes.
he also fought a burglar for about an hour and a half straight who was on speed, and he was sober and had just woken up at 3 in the morning.
Okay, whatever. I don't think his cardio is the thing to praise here. I think it's his toughness, his hands, because he's got great hands, and
I
just
was
his.
gonna I was gonna go into say his toughness as well. Like the fact that he can perform at such a high level and get these one first round finishes is incredible. But he's scary because he's improved a lot and he's still a tough motherfucker. Like he can go 5 rounds easily, despite however much damage he takes. And his cardio is good. Yeah, his cardio is not of note compared to his other, skills or whatever you want to say, but it's still there.
No, I agree. And Cole, what do you think's next for me? Called out Alexander Rakic, who of course defeated him last year. I don't think anyone saw this coming, but when it happened, no one seemed surprised by it. You know what I mean? Like everyone was just like, "Okay, let's do it." Rakic tweeted, "I'm free in December." Thinking about it at first, I was like, "This fight doesn't make a lot of sense. It wasn't a competitive fight last time. It wasn't a fun fight. You know, why would Rakic do this?" But the more I think about it, the more I like it. This new Anthony Smith wants that win back, and this is a clear number one contenders fight.
I would say, why the fuck is Rakic doing it? I understand why Smith wants to fight, and
Yeah,
I want to
what
see the
could Rakic
fight because I
possibly get out of it?
don't talk over me. I'm just kidding. No, I think like obviously everyone wants to see the fight because everyone loves Anthony Smith, but yeah, why would Rakic do it?
I mean, maybe Rakic just wants to stay busy and avoid Yuri, which is probably a good move. Um, if in other words, you could be like, hey, Rakic might just be like, oh, I beat him once, I'll beat him again. I'll collect a paycheck. I'll make even more of a statement for why I'm next. This guy looks amazing. I'm just going to do the exact same thing. So there is reason for Rakic. I was pretty surprised he was so on board on it. Very rarely do you see contenders open and willing to rematch, give other fighters rematches of which they won the first fight. So yeah, respect to both guys. I want to see it happen. Hopefully the end of the year. Hopefully a 5 round fight this time. Why don't we talk about the co-main event?
Wait, first, did you see what happened to um? Yeah, let's talk about the co-main. Sorry.
I know you're gonna say Devin Clark's teeth, which is the
Yeah,
co-main event.
yeah, I know.
that was brutal, and he should see your dad. Cole's dad's a dentist, FYI.
Yes,
Um, yeah, and it's
it
bad.
was disgusting to see. Good for Clark for being like, I need surgery anyway. Might as well continue the fight.
Yeah,
Um, apparently he got his like I don't even know what to call it. Something was pulled back into place. I don't want to get into details. It's already grossing me out. Um,
listen,
I
yes,
guess it's getting fixed. I hope. Cutelaba looked great. His cardio looked a lot better, and he was still putting on the pressure. Um, Surprised he didn't get the finish sooner, to be completely honest. But damn, this bald Cutelaba is scary. He's not
yeah.
so cute.
I never found him cute. I think you're the only person to ever find him cute.
It was a joke. Cutelaba.
Oh, can we edit that out? The
No.
pun was fine. Just my reaction makes me look like a fucking idiot. Um,
Well, it is what it is.
anyways, why don't we move on to some other fights? Should we talk about the Bellator?
Yeah. Phil
Okay.
Davis defeats Yoel Romero, which was in every single one of my parlays because it was just such an obvious win.
Oh,
I don't know,
I owe you something. I don't remember what the value was, but we made a bet last podcast. You were right.
50 or $20, something like that.
I think it was 10.
Either
Was that
way, someone's buying someone a drink.
fair enough?
He's legal now, by the way, guys.
Where in like fucking Italy?
No, in Montreal.
Yeah, okay. Which is where we are.
No, but like, hey, fuck you, yeah. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Okay. Um, anyways, yeah. I mean, Cole, you were right about this one. Yeah, Phil Davis is such a fucking boring fighter. I've always said that. He's a
He
good fighter,
is, but
but
he's
like,
much better at putting together his striking with his wrestling, like MMA wrestling, than
can you
Yoel is.
Can you blame Romero? He didn't know it was 5 rounds. He thought it was 5 rounds. He thought it was 5 rounds.
I
He
don't
seems
know
like a
what
nice
difference
guy.
that would make.
Yeah, what was that gonna do? Like you only get more tired. That's like your weakness cardio. I don't you love Dana's reaction afterwards? Like talking about Romero, he's like, have fun with that, Bellator. Good luck. Like he's like, Romero's a nice guy, but this is the shit he pulls. Remember the bench fiasco and the weight cutting? He's just I think
An
he
idiot.
plays dumb or he just really is dumb. It's one of the
No,
other.
no, he's not the smartest guy in the MMA world. All
I
right,
got you.
let's move on to some news. First up, Dana says Luque and Diaz is not next. He has another fight for Nate. Who is this? Who is this next fight? Who are you? What are you hiding from us, Dana?
Nate wants to stay at 170, so that really limits our options here. I mean, if you go down the list, obviously he's not going to fight Usman or Kobe. They're fighting next. I doubt he'll fight Gilbert, but I guess it's possible. Uh, Leon, Dana just mentioned that Leon and Jorge happen. So then, who do you
You
give?
cut out. You got to say that again.
Where did I get to?
You said uh, Leon and horror is gonna happen.
I think I meant Jorge. Well, I said Jorge.
I'm sure you did.
Leon Dana said that's what they're going to try and make, hopefully early next year. So I guess that leaves Wonder Boy as an option, but I don't know why Nate would want to take that fight. But then again, I don't know why Nate wanted to take the Leon fight, so I shouldn't talk about his matchmaking, but of what's actually possible.
What?
So that's possible. You have Chiesa and Brady paired up. I mean, who else could? I'm just trying to think. I think the fight to make would be to move to 155 and fight Tony, or fuck it, Tony move up to 170. That's a fight of the night. It's a fight of the
I'd like to
year.
see that. The thing is, if they're putting some Nate against someone, they're gonna put him up against someone with a relatively decent name and someone who's also someone who can be in a dogfight. And I don't know. I have this weird feeling to say this. I think I'm wrong anyway, but Kelvin Gastelum said he's moving down to 170 and he's going to
Did
hire
he
a
say that?
dietitian. Yeah.
Smart, because he really he's one of those guys that just isn't quite able to beat the guys at the top because they're just a little, I think, too much for him. So I think that's the right move.
Yeah.
He's
And
done it before.
even if he does, there's a lot of fighters that train with him in the middleweight division, like on his
Who,
team at King's
Vittori?
MMA.
I think didn't Holland just train with him? Kevin Holland just went and trained with Kelvin. Uriah Hall and him are friends. Yeah, you're right. Anyways, uh, continue. You were saying he wants to move to 170, so you think it's gonna be
Yeah.
Gastelum Diaz? I mean,
I mean, I doubt it. I really do, but I think
that's
that's what
yeah.
like that
It's
is a
an
good
interesting
fight.
pick. It would be a great fight. I don't know if Nate can take those shots from Kelvin. Maybe he can at 170. I don't know. That's an interesting match. I respect that, Cole. I never would have thought of that.
Thank you.
Let's move on to some other. Not, I guess our last piece of news is unfortunate because we all want to see Nate versus Luque, but this is actually unfortunate. Misha Tate has COVID and she's out of her main event against Caitlin
No,
Vieira.
it's not unfortunate.
Why is it
That's
not?
the worst main event ever. And
So
now
it's
we're gonna need a
getting
new
rescheduled. It's getting rescheduled. So what's the new main event going to be?
yeah, and the odds that it's rescheduled as a main event again are pretty unlikely.
I bet it will be rescheduled as a main event.
That would suck, but I'm just happy that in the near
I don't know
future
why
we get
that's the
different.
fight they made. It should have been Aspen Ladd and Misha Tate, number one contenders fight.
Doesn't Lad have a fight coming out?
I think against Macy Chiasson, you're right.
Yeah,
So I guess she
exactly.
could have thought maybe well, Raquel Pennington just won. I'd like to see a rematch between Pennington and Tate. Uh,
I'd like that as well. That'd be a good fight.
I think
Um,
Misha wins that in
or
her.
yeah, Misha should just get a vaccine.
Yeah.
Then that way she will stop having her fights pulled.
Yeah.
Um,
Anyways, why don't we talk about this fight this weekend being moved to 185?
I think honestly,
Right, with that, let's just give some context to the viewers. So, as you guys know, Nick Diaz and Robbie Lawler are scheduled for a 5 round welterweight bout this weekend. It's a rematch, 17 years in the making. Both fighters compete at welterweight, but they've also competed at middleweight in the past. The fight was signed on for 170 at welterweight, but literally a week out, Nick goes, "Yeah, can we do 185 middleweight?" And Robbie's like, "Sure." So now it's at 185. I mean, it wouldn't be a Nick Diaz fight without this kind of shit, you know?
it's not as if I have a source or something, but I feel like I know exactly what's going on here. First, before I get into it, I just want to say it's crazy how, guess how many weeks apart this fight is with their first fight.
Um,
Are you checking your phone
it's
to see
not
how?
it's months. It's months that you're
Is it
thinking of.
months? Oh yeah, because
Yeah,
it was
209.
2004. 209 months. What are the fucking odds? 209. That's
One
is it?
1 and 209 are the odds, I guess.
No, it's not. I mean, I
It could
guess
be anything, I guess. Yeah, that's
yeah.
crazy. I love little things like that.
Makes you think that Nick's just destined to win. And initially I thought so too, but now I don't as much. Now I'm really doubtful. And the reason is because Nick was in, I said Nate, maybe I meant Nick. Nick was in
He's-
an incredible shape, like a couple months ago, a month ago, even. He was training really hard for triathlons and for MMA. There was pictures of him in incredible shape. And then this fight's announced. And I guess I just figured, okay, he's gonna train hard for this fight. It's his return. Like, just makes sense. He was already training so hard. But now, when you see the photos of him this week, he does not look good. He looks pretty skinny fat, and he's asking to move the fight to 185. And all of this just leads me to think that because he got the fight with Robbie Lawler, it wasn't the fight that he wanted, and so he's unmotivated and just lost interest and stopped training so hard. And this is also backed up by the fact that Robbie, um, that Nick said that this fight with Robbie doesn't make sense. That he shouldn't be fighting Robbie. Why would he fight someone in his return fight against someone who he's already fought before? And that he thinks he deserves the Usman fight. It's kind of ridiculous. Robbie just says he's ready for the fight, and now I'm sort of leaning to Robbie because of all this shit that's going on.
In terms of wanting him to win or thinking he's gonna win.
Sorry.
Like you think Robbie's gonna win, or you want Robbie to win now?
I mean, I kind of always, I don't know. I'm kind of indifferent of who I want to win. I'm sort of leaning towards Robbie now. And also Nick was apparently knocked out in training camp, and that also might be why he has to move to 185. But personally, I just think he's not motivated. Maybe that's also why he got knocked out in training camp.
The thing that helps me is he'll beat the shit out of Usman. It just gives me confidence. I don't know why. I think if he beats Robbie, he gets that Usman fight, especially if he finishes Robbie.
Yeah, sadly, you're right. He shouldn't. That doesn't make sense, but you're right. Um,
I'd rather see Usman versus Diaz if Nick wins and looks impressive than another rematch like Usman and Leon or Usman and Burns. I know others wouldn't, but I just think that's such a fun. I mean, Usman would probably just wrestle him to death, but Diaz, I don't think he has a chance.
I just want Leon to fucking get his shot so he can shut up.
Yeah, I do too. But I don't think
Um,
like there's been other cases where it's like wow, there's been other cases where fighters haven't got a title shot where they deserve it more, you know? Like
Yeah,
it's not Leon's like this like special guy who like he's done all this shit and he never like do you know how many times Max Holloway needs to fight before getting a title fight? Like Tony
no.
Ferguson, Khabib, and they didn't have no contest and, you know, didn't get rocked by Nate Diaz with a minute left and barely survived. So, yeah.
Well, in other good news, we have a new rumored fight. I think honestly, it could be Sean O'Malley's toughest test, aside from Marlon Vera. Um, Brian Boom Kelleher, is his nickname? Just Boom?
Yeah.
Yeah, Brian Boom Kelleher against Sugar Sean O'Malley. I mean, that would be a great fight.
I don't like the way Brian's talking to Sean. I really hope Suga fucking knocks him out.
Brian's got great Muay Thai and great Jiu-Jitsu,
Yeah, I think
and he
I don't
hits hard.
I think Thomas Almeida is better than Brian Kelleher, and I think well Eddie Wineland in his prime for sure is better, but I don't not now I guess.
I think Sean beats him either way. I'm just saying I think he's really good, and
No, he is in this test.
I'd like to see this fight, and I'd like to see Sean win so that he can continue to cement his talents as an up and coming fighter.
How many fights are left on
Um,
his contract? Two?
I believe there's, I think this is his last one, isn't it?
I don't
No,
know. I'm not sure.
I forget. It is a small amount. I know that. I forget the specific number, so I'm not going to pull one out of my butt and pretend that I know. Um, but moving on, also in the books is Rafael Assunção versus Ricky Simone.
Good fight. I think a Sun Sal gets it done.
I
Decision.
totally think you're wrong. I think Simone humps him for 3 rounds.
A Sun Sal wins by decision. Bet
Sure.
$20. What's the just either or?
Yeah.
Okay, a Sun Sal. Hand on the microphone.
It's so annoying with people listening.
Break. Okay. Perfect. $20. You heard it here. Let's move on.
I'd like to say that yours is so much bigger, but then I'd be lying. So moving on. Adesanya versus Whitaker. Two rumored for January.
Yeah. I thought this was going to be in February. It being in January makes me question the fact if it's going to be in Auckland. I really hope it is. It's not going to be in Australia because, like, look at the fucking place. But New Zealand's a different story, so I really hope they get that done. Yeah, we'll talk about that more when it comes around and is officially announced. But just breaking the news to y'all. Why don't we talk about Carlos Condit? I mean, I think he retired the day after our last podcast, so it's a little bit old news, but I feel like we still owe it to him. I mean, he's
Yeah.
one of the welterweights of all time. The guy knocked down GSP, beat Nick Diaz in his prime. I mean, the list goes on. I think he beat Robbie Lawler. I think he should have been the champion.
Yeah, he's a natural born killer. He's really really good. I mean, he was, and he still is. Like, considering how old he is and how long of a layoff he had, like, he still put on some good performances.
Oh,
Obviously, he's not championship caliber anymore, and he probably should have called it like a while ago. But I'm happy he's doing it now while he's at least still somewhat on top. I
well,
guess he lost his last fight against Max, but
but you're right. Like he won. He's won two of his last three. Like he's looked fine. Like pretty good. He beat Court McGee and he beat Matt Brown, who's looked really
yeah,
good.
it's not something to be like embarrassed about for the rest of his life. Like someone like, well, I'm not going to just throw out names. That's mean. Um, yeah, but I don't know. He's a great example of someone who's like always actually loved everything about the sport, and it's sad to see him go, but I'm sure he'll still be involved in some way or another.
And I wouldn't be surprised if he ever came back, if I'm being 100% honest.
I hope he
Uh,
doesn't.
yeah, I would have liked to see him have one more, just get a good win, maybe like a fun. Well, a cowboy fight would have been fun because they used to be teammates. That would have been cool. I don't know why they didn't do that. Anyways, well, I guess it's up to Carlos. But Dana, we
That
talked
would
about this.
that'd
Yeah,
be a really good fight. I would
yeah.
really like to see that.
Dana confirms we already talked about this that Leon and Masvidal is well not next, but that's what he's hoping to do. Dan Hooker's fight is on. Well, I always help me pronounce young Kelvin Gastelum's name. Nasrat
Nasrat Hasparat
Hasparat. Great
kind of
fighter.
rolls. It like rhymes.
What?
It kind of rolls. It like rhymes a
Yeah,
little bit.
it rhymes. Hasparat. I'd like to see. I think this is a very interesting fight. I'm surprised the odds are as close as they are. Hooker is the favorite. I think Hooker for sure wins this fight. Not that nothing
I
gets happened. It's a big test for him. You look at Hooker's last two fights. Yeah, he lost a close decision to Poirier, and he got knocked out by Michael Chandler, who's like, in my opinion, one of the best fighters in the world. Like,
uh,
100%.
um so I think the knockout from Michael Chandler, what it's not that it was a fluke, but I don't think it would happen 9 to 10 times.
Oh, obviously not, but I
It was
think Chandler wins that fight. I'd say 7 out of 10 times.
I don't. I would say like 6 out of 10 at best. But anyway, Hooker's striking is incredible. He's probably had two of loss. His last two losses, his last two fights, probably have been the most motivating fights of his career in terms of changing things with training and coming out better. So he'll probably look pretty improved in this next fight. Unfortunately, it's against Nasrat, who, by the way, for some reason I always thought was a wrestler. Every time I just associate him as a wrestler. I don't know why. Maybe it's because like the name, but he's not. He's a striker and he's really good. But I
He's
think
well rounded.
he is. But it's
Striking's
he
his bread and butter.
predominantly chooses to strike in every fight, and he's got power, but I feel like he doesn't have that ability to jump in and out like Chandler does. So I don't think he'll be able to generate enough power to surprise Hooker with a shot like that. I think Hooker's taken a good amount of time off, and it's going to be a striking battle, and I think Hooker wins for that reason. Although it is upsetting because Nasrat's mom just died last week, and apparently she's been his like biggest supporter and his best friend. So I'd love to see Nasrat win, but hopefully they get at least like a fight of the night and
Yeah, I
hug
want to.
afterwards.
I'd love a draw. I'd love a draw.
Me too. Me too.
um,
It's it is what it is. It's not gonna sometimes Brendan Schaub. Not that anyone should quote him. I love the guy, but just doesn't know exactly what he's talking about. He said that sometimes when you lose someone, it can go one or two ways, right? You can either not try as hard because you're just broken. You have no motivation to get out of bed
try too
for
hard,
training,
fucks
or
you.
you can get extra motivation. You can
Oh,
you
but
can
you don't want him to fight emotional. You're right. It could have multiple effects. Like it's not. I think it's not
I'm
one of two
I
ways
was
though.
referring I was referring to the training camp, not necessarily the fight.
No, yeah, no, me too. I'm saying like he might have like completely overtrained out of anger and in the morning process, but it didn't happen that long ago. Anyways, prayers for Hasperat. Seems like a great guy, and how can you not be cheering for him? I mean, I like Dan Hooker too, but come
And
on.
yeah, they both had visa issues. Both are solved. So yay, fights on.
So everyone thought that Pantoja was going to get the fight against Moreno. He has two wins over him. One was amateur, so really one professional win over him.
Yeah,
And
and we were kind of disappointed he didn't. More so Jack than me, but he
I
did
thought
deserve it.
Askarov should have gotten it because actually, no, I think Pantoja was a fun. That's the one I would be most excited for and most nervous for. I think that's Moreno's worst test, and not because Pantoja is necessarily better than Figueiredo or Askov. They both beat Pantoja. The only reason I say that is matches make fights, and Pantoja simply might have Moreno's number. But of course, Brandon is much improved since he's been cut. So yeah, I was looking forward to that fight. But recent news has come out that the reason for the trilogy being booked between Figueiredo and Moreno is not because Figueiredo earned it over Pantoja, but because he was the second option. The first option was Pantoja. He turned it down due to knee injuries. I mean, if
Let me
maybe he
say,
can wait for. Yeah.
as I said, I still understand the Figueiredo rematch or rubber match, but props to the UFC for at least offering it to Pantoja first.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's the fight to make. I think Figueiredo didn't look good at all in his last fight. He lost every round. One judge gave him the second round, which is just ridiculous, but whatever. It was very clear that Moreno was on his way to winning that, and he finished him inside 3 rounds. I mean, first person to finish Figueiredo. I mean, Tyron Woodley's getting his tattoo, Cole. I know that has nothing to do with what we were just saying,
Yeah,
but
so Tyron Woodley just joined Ariel's live Instagram feed, I think today or yesterday, and said that he's finally going to get the Jake Paul tattoo this weekend. He thinks it's the right thing to do. He's probably doing it because Jake said, if you do, then I'll give you the rematch, which he probably won't anyway. But good on Tyron. He said he was going to do something, so he should own up to it. Um, yeah, that's that. I mean, I think what's next for Jake, I think it's either going to be Tommy Fury or Tyron. I mean, then again, Jake is going out and calling out UFC fighters as he always does, like Jorge Masvidal, who I believe I heard somewhere that Dana said would actually beat Masvidal, and
I
so
don't. Are
Jake,
you sure about that? I'd like to.
yeah,
I
and
don't
then
know
and
why.
then and then Jake came out and called out Brunson. Jake knows that he's not going to get a fight against these guys because Dana won't let him. but he's going about it the right way to try to piss Dana off and say like, okay, you won't give me your small guy, I'll take your big guy, But Brunson
I
would
mean,
obviously take it. I
Hudson's
don't think
actually a really good matchup for Jake. Actually, I think that Jake.
Brunson to lose.
I think Jake would win. Yeah, and I
Yeah,
don't say it often. It's just he has no chin, Brunson. His striking sloppy. He's kind of slow, and his wrestling has been the reason for his recent victories. And you can't wrestle in boxing. You can't even kick. So you know, completely different sport. He does have power though. He could still win. I wouldn't be surprised, but that'd be a good matchup for Jake.
yeah.
Anyway, let's move on to the star of MMA, the nicest guy ever, Conor McGregor. Did you see his pitch? That was amazing. He should join the MLB. I mean,
Oh, it was so embarrassing. I felt so bad for him after he threw it, and him walking around like trying to laugh about it, like he's like, oh, like no,
I
like
don't
that
think
was.
he do anything but laugh. I mean, it's almost as if he did it on purpose. I think it's harder to do what he did than to actually throw a strike.
He
He,
tried throwing it fast and
yeah,
hard.
idiot. I mean, to be fair, there's no. I don't think they watch baseball in Ireland, so I guess he just didn't know. Did you hear? I was watching that interview before his fight with Cowboy, and they're like, it was like with ESPN. They're like, before we let you go, Connor, who do you think's gonna win, the Tigers or LSU? He's like, uh, they're both formidable teams, and I love the Tigers, so I'm rooting with them. But yes, I wish them both a healthy match tomorrow. They end the interview. He goes, I don't know who the fuck those teams are. Yeah, I like Tigers. So like,
That's funny.
yeah, I think he's embarrassed though because he wants to be one of those guys that knows a lot. Connor
Yeah,
admires other like successful athletes like Tom Brady, Ronaldo. Like they're just
absolutely.
part of that club, and he
I,
is.
what's happening with his leg? Because he walked around with that cane, that billionaire
Yeah.
cane.
I
Is that like, does he? Do you think he actually needs it, or you think he's just like flexing a little
think
bit?
I think he needs it. I don't think Connor's the kind of guy to try and get sympathy.
Well, I hope his
In
leg's
fact,
okay.
he probably needs more than a cane.
Yeah,
He's
you're probably right. I hope he's okay. But regardless,
Think you will
you
about
got.
Connor. Guy's tough. He was training with a torn ACL. Like this is not this camp. I mean, he has in the past, and he's had wars with Nate's. Like I know he taps when he
I
gets out, but
I'd argue it's tougher to stop training when you injure your ACL because that's the right thing to do. That's the right way to properly heal. And obviously, when you have an injury, all you want to do is train. That's why you're upset when you get an injury. So to not train when you have an injury is the harder thing to do.
I agree. Um, let's let's talk about Connor
Wait,
saying
before we move on, if you guys want to check it out, people are making fun of his pitch and comparing it to 50 Cent's pitch, which I don't know if you guys seen. You should watch
Connor
it.
didn't like that comparison. How
No, he did
dare
not.
you?
Look at Connor's most recent Instagram post. He's pretty much getting mad at everyone for comparing the two pitches, saying that mine was fast and hard and his blah, 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 blah. That was British, not Irish, but you get what I'm saying. Um, so yeah, as Jack was saying, Connor also made a tweet about potentially moving to middleweight because he thinks he'd look very jacked at the weight in the weight class. I think it's a dumb
What's wrong with
idea.
him?
Yeah, like just
Connor's one of the best fighters in the world, but he's small. Like he's not a big guy. Accept
I
it.
don't even think he's one of the
Like
best fighters in the world anymore until he proves it.
I do. You're talking about Dustin Poirier, top 6 pound for pound male fighters in the world, and he went toe to toe with him twice recently, and they were competitive fights. Say what you will, Conor made a mistake going for the guillotine. He won the first round in the first fight against Dustin, and I still truly believe that Conor wins that fight a lot of the time.
Let's hope so. Let's not hope so. I don't fucking know anymore.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I don't
Um,
associate. Conor McGregor's little baby friend, Dylan Dennis, who has yet to fucking fight in MMA. It seems no, he has, but not since he's become a big name. He's just gone. He's become a big name. Like he's sort of moved from MMA to like entertainment, like the Dobrik and Logan Paul, like that kind of crowd. And he's just going out and partying every night, still walking around in a cast, I believe. But apparently, he was charged with disorderly conduct after an alleged incident at a Jersey Shore bar. There was video footage of him being put in a rear naked choke. He was probably super drunk, but still very interesting.
yeah, I like
What
that.
you're happy about it?
Mary
It's
made
funny
my
because
day.
he's done a good job at. I don't personally like him. I know a lot of people that are exactly like Dylan Dennis, and I don't like them. But I will say he's nicer than he lets on. Like everyone will say when they meet him, he's a really nice guy, but he is a social climber, very clearly, and he goes around pissing people off to try to make a name of himself, try to make people hate him on Instagram so that he becomes more popular. But in person, apparently, he's still really nice. Still don't like him. Just saying. Um, Also, before we move on to the last piece of news, I just want to say quickly, I forgot Richard Schaefer, the the I don't know advisor of John Jones. Um, he said on Ariel's podcast or show, the MMA Hour or whatever, that John Jones is waiting to get to 275. He's currently at 260. 275 is very big. I think even bigger than Francis. And I think he wants to be the biggest and baddest heavyweight. And that's his plan. So he won't come back until he's 275. And Richard Schaefer believes that'll be the summer of 2022. So
Yeah, I agree.
you agree with what?
Nothing. I wasn't listening. I'm just thinking about
Why?
Dylan Davis. I'm watching it right now.
Oh,
Oh my god, it made my day when I woke up to that. Oh, I hate that guy. That's one of the
yeah.
few people on this planet that I would prefer Jake Paul to win.
Yeah. And I hate to end off with bad news, but it's not too bad. Don't fret too much. Joe Rogan, he's not going to be commentating UFC 266 because he has been preparing himself for a big hunting trip with the start of the hunting season upon us. And
Yeah.
so he will not be there.
Nope.
Who will be in his place, Jack?
Paul Felder.
Paul Felder, who doesn't love the Irish Dragon.
Doesn't love him. Yeah. Joe's the best. He is the best. But, it's not the end of the world. I'd rather Joe
It's a
be there.
different thing. It's a different thing when Joe's there. It's like a whole other.
It really solidifies it as, oh wow, this is the real shit. Because Joe is
Yeah.
way past the UFC now. Joe's probably bigger than the sport itself, if I'm being 100% honest. Biggest podcast in the world on the biggest platform in the world. He's up there, man. He's having guests like Elon Musk, Robert Downey Jr. There's just like it's just another level.
Miley Cyrus.
Miley Cyrus. Who else? Demi Lovato, right?
Yeah, but fuck Demi Lovato.
Who else has been on there that's like really famous? John Jones.
I have nothing against Demi Lovato. It was just a boring episode. Tom Segura, who's just great, best friend. Obviously, he's been on there a million times. Who?
Next one, but Mel Gibson.
Oh, Quentin Tarantino.
Quentin Tarantino. That was a fucking big one.
That was my favorite episode.
Got Edward
ever.
Norton on.
Maybe. Anyway, let's get into the
Do
fights
this for
this
a long
weekend.
time. TSP, Dana White. Okay. Let's talk about the prelims first. These prelims are some of the best prelims I've ever seen in my entire life. They could easily make up your Hooker Hasbrat could be a fight night main event. Merab Moraes could be a fight night main event. These are great fights, and it's all in the prelims. Why don't we just start with the two main ones, as previously mentioned, Hooker versus Hasbrat. Cole, who's your pick?
Ooh, should we just go through the fights and then give picks, or you want to give picks too?
I think we should go through the fights, give our picks, and then when we're done, you can just give your parlay.
Okay. So my pick here is Hooker. I believe you agree.
Yeah. Not that I want Hooker to win. Nothing against him. It'd just be nice for Hasbrat for his mother. And I like him. He's with Firas Zahabi, right? So
yeah. I'm going to take 30-27 by decision.
Unfortunately, I have Hooker by knockout.
Okay.
What is the odds on that? Let me look that up as we move on to the next one.
Marlon Moraes versus Merab Dvalishvili.
Go ahead.
I'm pretty skeptical about this one. Like, I initially presumed that Merab Dvalishvili's pressure and wrestling would be too much for
Hooker by knockout, just so you know, is about plus 290, plus 275 around.
Okay. But yeah, Marlon's obviously, not looked the best because he's lost his last few, but he's still great. He's a great fighter. He took more time off this time so that he doesn't get knocked out as easily. I don't think that's a concern though, for him in this fight. He does have good wrestling, takedown defense, and good wrestling, but Dvalishvili is probably going to be too much for him. So yeah. I'm taking Dvalishvili also by decision.
Yeah, I'm going to take Dvalishvili by decision, which on the odds I think are not. I think it's like literally even. Let me check. But yeah, I agree with you. If this was 5 rounds, I'd be like pretty much 100% confident. People forget how good Marlon Moraes is though, and his cardio is pretty shit, and his chin hasn't been great lately. But he's had a long layoff, which I think is good for him. But I just don't think this is a good matchup for him.
Yeah,
If
the
you look at his last
pressure and cardio of Devalshvili is not a good match for Moraes. Is bad cardio.
Palishvili by decision, who's never been finished before, I believe, is plus 125, plus 115, like around that. So, yeah, I've got that as well. I agree with you. And I will have to say, if Moraes loses this one, I can see the UFC cut. And not that he should. He's one of the best bantamweights in the world still, top 10 for sure.
You
But
might be right.
he lost to Cejudo. Then there was the Aldo fight. He won. It was close, but I think we all thought Aldo won. Aldo was even awarded the title shot. Then he got knocked out by Sandhagen, then Rob Font, and now he has this fight. So if he loses this, it's 3 in a row, but a lot of people see it as 5 in a row.
They'll probably give him one more with a lower ranked person,
I
especially
hope so.
because on
He deserves
paper
it.
he won against Jose.
Yeah.
This next fight,
Whether or not he didn't win, it was a close fight. It's a close fight with Jose.
Yeah.
Give him Pedro Munoz if he loses. They're both coming off losses.
I think you'll be surprised with who I have in this next fight.
Let me guess. You have Cynthia Calvillo?
Yes, I do.
I do too, but I'm not confident. Like I just want her to win. I think it's better for the division. You know, no one cares to see Andrade win and rematch fucking Shevchenko. Calvillo's a new matchup, and she's not one of those well-rounded people like Lauren Murphy and Caitlin Chukagian. She has one really good aspect of her game, and that's her ground game.
Yeah, I think it's Calvillo's time. She's not only good at ground, she isn't the greatest at striking, but the thing is she puts on pressure. She doesn't stop coming forward, and she has a lot of volume. So for that, I think it's a perfect combination with her ground game, just like Mackenzie Dern. She comes forward with pressure and volume and then goes to the ground. I think if she plays it in a similar fashion, it'll go well for her. And she's got great value at plus 200. Could be different now. So yeah, I think Calvillo takes us on the ground. I think it's her time. She's 9-2-1. It's a good record. Like, make it 10-2-1. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Calvillo straight up. If I had to choose, I'd say decision, but not sure. I would just go with Calvillo.
Submission. Calvillo by submission.
What are the odds on that? Plus 600 or something?
If it is, bet the house, boys. No, don't actually. Just like
plus 700. I'm pretty close.
Well, next fight. Curtis Blades versus Jairzinho Rozenstruik.
This one's not getting talked about enough. This is a big fight at heavyweight.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this fight. This is like a poor man's Francis versus
Gone?
Sorry?
Gone?
No, I was actually gonna say a poor man's Francis versus Blades, but that already happened. That's still Blades.
Twice. Cole, who do you have in this one?
I have Blades.
How so?
I think it's been so long. Like, Blades' problem is that he's not good at meshing his striking with his wrestling. If you ask me, after his last loss, that should be the one thing that he's been working on.
Yeah.
And there's just no way there's no way he hasn't made improvements in that area. So if he can stop an uppercut, I think that's all he needs to do. I don't think Rozenstruik is one to go for too many knees. Maybe he will. But I think if he can stop that uppercut, he'll be good. He'll destroy him on the ground.
You're dead on. I think you're completely right. Curtis Blades needs he's got good striking, great wrestling, probably solid jiu-jitsu, and his cardio is pretty fucking good for a heavyweight. Chin's all right. He just needs to put it together. It's mixed martial arts. You know, it's not just being good at everything. That's what Shawn Evans said, and that's what you're saying now, and I completely agree. I'm going with Curtis Blades, however. The odds makers seem to think he's going to win by finish, specifically knockout. I disagree. I think Curtis Blades via decision, which is about plus 200, is the way to go on this one.
I agree.
I could be wrong, but, you know, that's my pick.
I wouldn't take him by decision. I just play it safe. Take him minus 300. Yeah, not the best value, but throw him in a parlay.
Okay. First big fight. Nick Diaz versus Robbie Lawler. 17 years in the making. The last time, when they fought for the first time, I was 1 year old. I was thinking about year or years. I think year, because I was just one. It's not plural. So 1 year old, right?
Yeah.
1 year old.
You were 1 year. Yeah, that's a really interesting 1 year.
Well,
old, 1 years old.
Yeah, I know. I'm really. I don't know.
Anyway, I honestly think stay away from this fight in terms of betting. It's just there's so much.
I wasn't
uncertainty.
even 1 yet, by the way. I was less than 1 year old.
Right. There's so much uncertainty, but if you ask me, take Lawler. That's where I'm at now. for my parlay, I'm not going to give you guys a pick for it because it's just too dangerous. And I've been more conservative lately. What about you? What do you got?
I'm going with Nick. I like Robbie, but I'm going with Nick, and I really don't know how he gets it done. I think there's good value on Nick by knockout, um, or inside the distance, which is just plus 350. I, I would just go with Nick straight up. It's too. I think he can win every way.
I don't know. Well, this next fight, I hope you don't have a different opinion as me. Shevchenko, easy.
Yeah, I obviously, but how does she win is the question. I think Lauren Murphy's tough.
Murphy's never been finished.
I would do Shevchenko by submission, which is plus 500.
I would not disagree with that.
I think there's good
Um,
odds. Don't do all your parlays with that.
yeah,
You know,
well,
mix it up.
obviously not. This next fight for me is real tough. I'm very biased. I do like both guys, but I'm a big Ortega fan. Um, and honestly, like, despite how biased I am, I really do think Ortega can win. Like, he's taller, he's got better ground, obviously has the reach advantage, and his striking is really good now. Obviously, Max Holloway has fought Volkanovski twice in two close fights, both of which I think Max won, and then Max
You think
dominated
Max won the
Ortega.
first? I do too,
No,
but
I actually don't. I think he won the second fight, but I think overall 10 rounds, Max won most. Um,
yeah, I think Max won at least 8. No, what am I
no,
saying?
less. Yeah.
At least 6.
Yeah, I agree. And anyway, I don't know. I really don't know who to say here. Volkanovski's been inactive longer than Ortega. Ortega put on a great performance against Korean Zombie, and I think Ortega is a different fighter since he fought Max Holloway. So maybe don't listen to me. I'm gonna give you two parlays, and one of them's gonna have Ortega, and one of them's gonna have Volkanovski, because that's the most uncertain
Yeah,
I
I
am.
agree with you. It's a pick 'em, but for the simple reason that Ortega's an underdog, you got to go with him, and you got to go with him inside the distance, which is somewhat good odds, plus 300.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if Ortega wins, it's probably by
But
submission.
I think Ortega, I don't know who I want to win. I like them both. I don't love them both. I don't hate either of them. They're both fine. I guess I'd like to see Ortega.
Volkanovski just goes after Ortega too much, so
Yeah, I think it's like a little much.
yeah, but who knows? All right, ready for the parlay, guys? I'm pulling out the parlay machine. Ready?
Okay. Yeah.
I shouldn't do another parlay. I shouldn't enter this one, but I might. We'll see. Okay, first off, feel free not to include it. Feel free to as well. I'm putting in my first parlay as on Anthony Joshua against Alexander Usyk. He's at minus 275 favorite for boxing. That is a very, very close fight, but I do think Joshua takes it easily. Parlays. I have Omar Morales against Jonathan Pierce. That's minus 160 value. I have Matthew Semmelsberger minus 500. It was minus 350, so too bad I didn't do this episode a couple days ago. Oh, wow. I did not know that that Carl Robertson is out of his fight.
Yeah, I saw that.
Well, I had Maximov. I still do. Cody Brundage. Don't know who he is. You know what? For you guys,
Well,
I'm
you're
not going to include him in the parlay because I don't know who Cody Brundage is. I haven't done my research, so skipping that fight. Uros Medic, he's undefeated at 7-0 against Jalen Turner. Yes, it's a risky parlay here. Jalen Turner has been looking great, but Uros Medic is undefeated and he trains at King's MMA, so he wrestles against Benil Dariush and Vittori and Gastelum. So Uros Medic, however the fuck you pronounce his name, all the way. Talia Santos minus 400 against Roxanne Modafferi. I don't know how Roxanne has ever won a fight, but good for her. Talia is going to dominate. Chris Dawkins for Shamil Abdur. I don't have.
Akhmedov.
Yeah, I don't have a I think both fighters are good, and because it's heavyweight, it's just way too risky to bet on.
I'd go Chris Dawkins, but sure, yeah, Dawkins.
But Shamil's good.
Shamil is good, but he hasn't fought in 2 years, and he's still ranked in the top 10. His last fight, he got fucking demolished and finished by Curtis Bates. But whatever. Moving on.
All right. Okay, fine. You know what? If Jack fucks up the parlay, he fucks up the parlay.
No,
I'm
no,
taking
no, no,
Chris
no, no,
Dawkins
no,
minus
no, no,
200.
no. I'm not having that on. It's not worth it. If it's that big of a parlay, just leave it at
No, I'll do it. It's not that
minus
big of a
200.
parlay. Yeah. Dan Hooker minus 150 against Nasrat Haqparast. Merab Dvalishvili minus 225 against Marlon Moraes. Cynthia Calvillo, great value, plus 200 against Jessica Andrade. Curtis Blades, not so great value, minus 300. Then we're at the Nick Diaz Robbie Lawler fight. Skip, skip, skip. Valentina Shevchenko, minus 1400. Easy. Volkanovski Ortega, as I said, I'm doing 2 parlays. I think it's the only thing to do.
Yeah, I agree with you.
You
There's
know
it's
what?
really a pick 'em either way.
The scariest fight for
I
me.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see Volkanovski go out there and dominate him, and I'm gonna look like an idiot saying it's a pick 'em. I just don't know who's gonna win. I'm not saying it's necessarily gonna be a close fight. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, I'm actually, you know what, guys? I'm taking off Eros Medic
Just
of
unpredictable.
the. It's so tough. Okay, I'll keep in Medic. It's really tough. I don't know. Jalen Turner's great. Um, Fuck it, I'm doing it. You know what, guys? These are my picks. So if you really want my pick,
Listen,
I'll
what you
take Robbie
want.
Lawler.
Yeah, you can take everything.
But if you take Volkanovski at minus 175 overall, you have plus 14,450. So for $10, you're gonna get a return of $1,455. If you want to instead take Ortega, the overall value of the parlay is plus 23,048. So $10 will give you $2,314.83. Put in both. If you want to know the fights I'm least certain about, it's probably the I don't know. It's so
What was
tough.
that?
I just can't decide. I'll say I'm least certain about the Andrade Calvillo fight, Medic Turner, and Ortega Volkanovski fight. But yeah, those are them. Those are my picky picks. Good luck to you guys.
Okay, well, I think that wraps it up for today.
Yeah, it's a great episode.
Great episode.
Good
So many
timing
fun
too.
fights. Okay.
All right, guys. Enjoy your weekend. We'll enjoy
Oh,
ours.
what the fuck?
What?
Okay, nothing. Okay,
All right.
peace.
Peace out, brothers and sisters and others.
I'll see you tomorrow, Cole.
Yes, you will.
Okay, love you all. Bye.